Hi everyone, here's another discussion for consolidated financial statement, that is impairment of goodwill, the consolidation, or when is control loss. So anong gagawin natin if nagkaroon ng loss of control? Anong gagawin natin if there are changes pero hindi naman nawala yung control? Then we have theory supporting consolidation. Okay? So first we have impairment of goodwill. So we have discussed impairment of goodwill already sa business combination. Pero how do we account it if we're already consolidating financial statements? So sabi sa standard, if the NCI is at proportionate share, so measured siya at proportionate share, yung goodwill daw is attributable to the parent only. So it follows that if the goodwill is attributed to the parent only, then the impairment is also attributed to the parent only. Okay? If the NCI is measured at fair value, the goodwill is attributable to both the owners of the parent and the NCI. So it follows then that the impairment is allocated kay parent at kay NCI. Okay? So ganun lang yung tatandaan mo. Okay? So let's try. Here's an example. So we have, it's the same with the examples sa intercompany profit, other than ang pinagkaiba lang niya is this one. The statement of financial position. So, sinummarize na yung assets, yung liabilities, and then the total equity. Then we have the profit, summarized na din for both the parent and the subsidiary. And then, additional information, there were no intercompany transactions during 20X1. However, it was determined that goodwill is impaired by 1,000. Okay? So, case 1, what if the NCI is measured at proportionate share? And then case 2, what if naka-fair value siya? And then the fair value of the NCI is determined as 18,750. How do we account for the 1,000 impairment? Okay? So, we account for it. Una, step 1, analyze the effect of intercompany transactions. Wala. Okay? Sabi nga, there's no intercompany transaction. Thank you, Lord. Okay? Next, you check the subsidiaries' net assets for any changes. So, it's the same with the first examples intercompany transaction. We have the net assets at carrying amount. Okay, January 20X1. And then, on consolidation date, naging 94 siya. Then, we just follow the FVA. Okay, so pasok mo lang FVA. So, nung 120X1, we have 16,000 for 12/31, 20X1, 10,000. Total net assets at fair value. Nung acquisition date, 90,000. Nung consolidation date, naging 104,000. Total net change is 14,000. Okay, how did we arrive with the FVA nung 12/31, 20X1? Okay, the same. Inventory daw, na-consume lahat, yung 4,000 na FVA, worth 4,000. Okay? Then, yung equipment, it had 6 years useful life. So, we just account for the depreciation. 12,000 divided 6. Annual depreciation niya is 2,000. Bawas mo lang, annual depreciation niya according to FVA. Okay, so bawas mo lang yung 2,000 sa FVA attributable to the equipment. Okay, you'll get a total depreciation of 6,000. And fair value adjustment na dapat i-consider mo is 10,000. From 16,000, nabawasan siya ng 6,000. 10,000 adjustment. Okay? Then, we compute for goodwill. So, ito medyo iba. Sa computation of goodwill, sa case 1, the NCI is measured at proportionate share. Remember that the goodwill is attributable to the parent only. So, the impairment will be attributed to the parent only. Okay, so same computation, consideration transferred. You have 5,000 shares times fair value of 15, 75,000. The NCI, fair value at acquisition date. Okay, kasi computation pala ito at acquisition date muna. So, 90,000 times 20%, the NCI, 18,000. Previously held equity interest, wala. Total of 93,000. Okay, fair value of net identifiable assets, it's at 90,000. Okay, you have a goodwill at acquisition date of 3,000. Now, we have checked, sabi sa given, there is an impairment loss of 1,000. Okay, so siguro na-conduct sila ng study, okay, or they have deemed na medyo not in trend, may pandemic, okay, nagkaroon ng impairment loss. So, we have 1,000 yung valuation ng impairment loss na yun. Okay, so you just deduct it. Okay, you have a goodwill on consolidation date of 2,000. Okay? So, again, this is NCI at proportionate share, kaya kay parent lang yung buo niyang kakainin yung impairment loss. Okay? Next, paano kapag the NCI is measured at fair value? So, ipaghihiwalay mo computation niya. Yung computation ng goodwill attributable to the parent, owners of the parent, and the computation of the goodwill with regards to the NCI, attributable to the NCI. Okay, let's start with the parent. Okay, consolidation transferred, we have 5,000 shares times 15, 75. Previously held equity interest 0. Mabat na walang NCI kasi nga, sineparate natin yung computation. Okay? So, next, we have 75,000 total less parents' proportionate share in the net assets of the subsidiary. Don't forget about this. Okay? Meron siyang share doon. So, 90,000, that's the fair value of the subsidiary's asset. Okay? Times 80%. So, 72,000 siya. Goodwill attributable to the owners on acquisition date is 3,000. Okay? Less impairment loss, yung share lang ni parent. Okay, so 1,000 times 80%, kasi yun yung percentage ng owners of the parent. You have 800,000. Okay, goodwill attributable to the owners of the parent on 12/31/2020, you have 2,200. Okay, next, we have computation of goodwill attributable to NCI. Okay, so we have fair value of the NCI. So, hindi natin yung consideration transferred kasi kay parent lang yun. This one will start at fair value of the NCI. So, it's given, 18,750. Actually, you can compute it also. How do you compute it? Yung consideration transfer, that's 75,000. When it's the NCI is measured fair value. Okay, remember the computation that the consideration transferred is for the 80%. So, how do you go from 80% to 100%? You divide 75,000 by 80%. How much I multiply sa 20%? You'll get 18,750. Okay? Then, we less the proportionate share of the NCI sa subsidiaries and assets, which is 20% of 90,000. You'll get 18,000. Then, goodwill attributable on acquisition date is 750 for the NCI. Then, less the share of the NCI sa goodwill. Okay, we have goodwill impairment, the impairment loss. Okay, 1,000 times 20%, percentage of the NCI is 200. You have a goodwill attributable to NCI at 550,000. Okay, you just add 550 with 2,200. Okay, you'll get goodwill net. Okay, 2,750, which is presented on the face of the financial position, consolidated financial position. Okay, yun lang. Okay, madali lang siya. Okay, next, we compute for the NCI and we compute for the consolidated RE. Okay, first we have NCI. So, case 1, case 2 presented na. Same naman yung kanilang subsidiaries net assets. Okay, 104, 104. Okay, at consolidate. Multiply it by NCI's percentage. You have 20%. Total, 20,800. So, saan siya lang nagkakaiba? Si case 1, wala siyang goodwill attributable to NCI kasi it's purely sa parent. Okay, case 2, because NCI is valued fair value, it has goodwill attributable to NCI. Okay, that's 550. Okay, so as previously computed kanina. So, you have, sa case 1, NCI in net assets 12,800. For case 2, it's 21,350. Okay, Conso RE, makaiba din. Case 1, we have retained earnings, okay, beginning or before adjustment, you have 110, parehas. Parent share in the net change in subsidiaries net assets, so this is the FVA. Okay, your FVA is at 14,000. That's step 2. Okay, it's at 14,000 times 80%. Okay, you have 11,200. Okay, and then you have impairment loss on goodwill attributable to the parent. Sa case 1, buo niyang kinain. So, 1,000 yung kay parent. Sa case 2, yung share lang niya. Okay? So, 800,000. Then, we have consolidated RE. Okay? For case 1, that's 120,200. For case 2, that's 120,400. Okay? Next, we compute for the profit, Conso profit. So, for case 1, Wala namang pinagkaiba with how we computed the intercompany transaction bukod sa tinanggal yung intercompany transaction kasi wala naman talagang intercompany transaction. So, dito, dinagdag lang si impairment of goodwill. So, as you can see, yung profits before adjustment, the FVA, and the impairment of goodwill, 1,000, total consolidated profit of 73,000. So, deduction yung impairment of goodwill. Now, we distribute sa owners of the parent kay NCI, the same, profit before FVA ni owner, 60,000. Then, may share siya. May share sa subsidiaries profit, 20,000 yon, kay 80% kay owner, 20% kay NCI. Depreciation or of FVA, you have 6,000. May share si owner, may share si NCI. Then the impairment, lahat kinain ni parent. So, owners of the parent, 1,000. Okay, walang share si NCI doon. Okay, so we have total 70,200 for NCI is 2,800. Total consolidation of profit is 73,000. Okay. Mukha ako umiyak. Kasi, tawag doon? Humikab ba yun? Nag-yawn kasi ako kanina, so parang napaiyak. Anyway, so, anong pinagkaiba nung sa case 2? So, dito lang siya nagkaiba sa impairment of goodwill. Siyempre, may share, yung mga shares lang nila in impairment loss na magre-reflect kay owner 80%, kay NCI 20%. So, nag-iba na yung distribution niya. Kay owner is 70,400, kay NCI is 2,600. Total consolidation of profit is 73,000. Okay? Next. Okay, so you have to remember that before you proceed to consolidation procedures, you have to adjust. Kailangan you do adjustment first sa separate books. Okay? Parang ma-polish lahat, ma-reconcile lahat before you actually consolidate. Parang wala nang problema kapag pinagsama mo na sila. Okay? Adjustments such as accruals and deferrals of income and expenses and correction of errors should be made. Also, kapag may in-transit items ka or those that are recorded in the books of the parent but are not recorded sa books ng subsidiary, kapag intercompany transactions, okay, you have to reconcile them before you consolidate. Hyperinflationary economy. So, if your group is actually reporting its in a currency of a hyperinflationary economy, you have to restate it according to PAS 29. Okay, before being consolidated. Okay? For currency translations, ganun din. It has to, if the functional currency of the subsidiary is different from the group's presentation, you have to restate it according to PAS 21. Okay? So, we will be discussing this along the way. Okay? So, yan. Yun lang naman. You have to adjust. Also, you have to continuously do assessment. Why? As an investor, baka hindi mo nalalaman na yung status ng iyong investment. Baka dati akala mo may control ka pa, tapos biglang, nung naglabas ng shares itong si subsidiary, biglang nawalan ka ng control. Nang hindi mo malalaman or hindi ka man lang na-inform about certain changes in the company that resulted to a loss of your control over the investee. So, you have to continuously assess. Okay? If they still control the investee, check if one or more of the elements of control are affected by certain changes. Okay? Why? Because there are certain changes in ownership na may result to loss of control and there are those that may not result to a loss of control. Okay, so dun muna tayo sa may not resulting to a loss of control. Okay? Una, this one, if any changes happen sa ownership pero may control ka pa rin, 51% or more, or you have actually the elements of control pa rin, it's actually accounted for as an equity transaction lang. Okay? So, the carrying amounts of the controlling and non-controlling interests are adjusted to reflect the changes in their relative interest in the subsidiary. So, you have to adjust them. Okay? So, magkakaroon ng adjustment sa retained earnings niya. Then, adjustments to NCI, less any fair value of consideration transferred or received, you have directly recognized in equity attributable to the owners of the parent. Okay? So, no gain or loss is recognized in P&L if this happens. I'll be giving examples naman. Next, paano kapag may loss of control. So sabi, it may be lost with or without any change in absolute or relative ownership levels, and with or without the investor being involved in that event. So kahit hindi nagbabago yung composition, yung percentage mo sa company, percentage of control sa company, and also kahit hindi ka involved dun sa event, bigla na lang nawalan ka ng control. Okay, you have to account for it. Okay, ano yung mga examples? So, for example, when the subsidiary becomes subject to control of a government, court, administrator, or regulator, patay, or as a result of contractual agreement, okay? Maaring nakasuhan, maaring part ng nire-rehabilitate or nasa bankruptcy proceedings na, liquidation proceedings na, okay? If decision-making rights are given to another party or the decision-making rights previously granted to the parent have elapsed, okay, biglang binigay yung decision-making rights na dating sa'yo, binigay sa iba, okay? Kaya naman, time out na, nag-lapse na yung condition, okay, nawalan ka na ng decision-making rights, okay, so nawalan ka na ng control, okay? If the parent ceases to be entitled to receive returns, so, parang, hindi na ako entitled to receive returns, ano ba yan? Okay? And then, if the parent's previous status as a principal changes to an agent, so dati principal yung kanyang status when transacting sa business transaction with other parties, okay, as representation of the group, okay, pero naging agent ka na lang, okay, so pag ganun, you have no control over it, wala ka na control. So how do we account for this na nawala ng control? Una, you have to derecognize all of the assets and liabilities of the former subsidiary from the Conso FS. Tatanggalin mo kasi hindi mo na siya subsidiary. Aray. Okay, so we recognize any investment retained in the former subsidiary at its fair value at the date of control is lost and subsequent account for the investment in accordance with relevant PFRS. So, meron pa naman siguro matitira kaya na investment or mariretain, you have to measure it again at fair value, and then you have to account for the investment if there are any changes also in accordance with relevant PFRS, okay? Then we have recognized the gain or loss associated with the loss of control in profit or loss. So, magre-recognize ka ng gain or loss sa P&L, okay? So, here is a pro forma computation, okay? Pro forma. We have consideration transferred. It is measured at fair value. Add mo lang yung investment retained in the former subsidiary. Add mo yung NCI at carrying amount. Okay? Then, you sum it up, the total, less the former subsidiary's net identifiable assets, nakanet na ha, at carrying amount, okay, less goodwill at carrying amount, then you have gain or loss on disposal of controlling interest, which is recognized in P&L. Okay? Next, how do we journalize it? Syempre, cancel out mo na yung mga hindi na iyo. Okay? So, you have, syempre, babayaran ka. Okay? O kaya, makaka-receive ka ng, it's other cash or other assets, so debit mo. Then, you debit investment account. So, yung investment retained mo. Then, the NCI, okay, tatanggalin mo na siya. And then, the liabilities of the former subsidiary, alisin mo na siya. Kasi wala ka ng NCI. Okay? Then, we have assets of former subsidiary. Tatanggalin mo din, kaya siya naka-credit. Goodwill, tatanggalin mo din. And then, syempre, you recognize gain on disposal of controlling interest, which is an income on your part. Okay? So, squeeze lang. Diba, paano pag loss? Ay, di naka-debit. Ano? Okay. Next. In the recognition of OCI. So, what do? The parent recognizes amounts previously recognized in OCI as follows. So, kapag revaluation surplus, i-recognize mo siya directly in equity. Okay? Kapag actuarial gains on defined benefit plans, in equity. In unrealized gains or losses on FVOCI investments, in equity also. Pero kapag translation gains or losses, P&L. Kapag effective portion of cash flow hedges, that's P&L. Okay? So, we have to remember all of those. Okay? Next, yan. We're down to the theories. Okay, bakit kakaunti lang yung binigay mong examples sa problems? Because I'll be putting them all in PDF file. Okay, para you can download it and study it more. Okay? Importance of consolidation, we have provides true and fair view of the balance sheet and income statement of the group. So, nakalagay lahat ng, tawag din ng lahat ng assets, liabilities, and equity of the group. Okay, even profits, the performance, ano. So, makikita ng investor as a group, the risks and rewards. Okay, sa halip na number 2, avoids burdensome collation of individual FS of the group by the investors or public. So, sa halip na pumunta sila sa individual websites of the subsidiaries and then the parent, tapos da-download nila, tapos hiwa-hiwalay pa nilang pag-aaralan. Okay? So, pag nagko-consolidation na, so, nagkakaroon ng isang pag-aaralan na lang. Ano, okay? So, lessen the temptation of hiding certain activities in the subsidiaries or special purpose entities, separate FS. So, lessen. Okay? So, I'm not saying na talamak, pero talagang meron. Okay? Kaya nga, we're doing consolidation to lessen temptation of hiding certain activities. Okay? Kasi ma-audit ang buong grupo. Okay? So, if ma-audit yung buong grupo, malalaman na there are some items that do not reconcile. Okay? And bubuklatin yun ang bubuklatin. Okay? Eliminate the effects of transactions with related entities, making the consolidated FS more useful than the aggregate of each of the group's members separate FS. Kasi nga, di ba, sa separate FS, naka-reflect yung intercompany transactions. Okay, paano mo malalaman kung kumikita ka talaga, okay, with outside parties or with the total performance of the company, okay, relating to other than those that belongs to the group, if puro intercompany transactions ka na lang. Okay, so yun. Next, theories and consolidation. We have 4. Parang napag-aralan natin yan dati. Yes, napag-aralan natin siya dati, pero this one is on consolidation naman. So, you have proprietary theory, parent company theory, entity theory, or the contemporary theory, and then the hybrid theory, which is the traditional theory, okay? We start at proprietary theory. So, this believes, okay, that since the parent acquires only a portion of the subsidiary, dapat siya lang. Only that portion should be shown sa Conso FS. Okay, then the NCI, excluded siya sa Conso FS. And proportionate consolidation is tawag sa kanya. So, wherein the Conso FS include the parent's net identifiable assets plus the parent's share in the net subsidiaries assets of the subsidiary. So, sa proprietary theory, si parent lang lahat. Okay? So, yun yung paniniwala dito, ha? Okay? Yung parent company theory naman, 100% of the subsidiaries' net assets, identifiable assets, are included in the Conso FS, plus the parent share in the FBA at acquisition date. Pero yung NCI shares in the FBI is not presented. Okay? NCI is also measured at proportionate share. Okay? And it is presented as a liability, nung una-una, as a liability sa Conso FS. Nag-evolve throughout the years, itong parent company theory, naging mezzanine line item na lang siya. Ano yon? Yung in-between liability and equity, but not a liability and not also an equity. Nasa gitna lang si NCI. Okay? So, you have yun yung paniniwala ni parent company theory as it evolved through time. So, the goodwill pertains only to the owners of the parent, so the partial goodwill is used. Conso profit includes only the parent's profit plus the parent's share in the subsidiary's profit. NCI share in the profit is an expense. Kita mo, liability na siya sa balance sheet, sa profit or loss or sa income statement, naka-expense pa siya. Okay? Unrealized gains or losses from upstream sales are eliminated only up to the extent of the parent's ownership interest in the subsidiary. Okay? So, that's the parent company theory. The entity theory or the contemporary theory, this is where 100% of the subsidiaries' net identifiable assets are included. And at the Conso FS at carrying amount plus the total FVA at acquisition date. Ito yung ginagawa natin. Okay? NCI is measured at either proportionate share or fair value and is presented okay, sa equity, but is separate from the equity of the owners. Goodwill pertains to both owners of the parent and the NCI, or the full goodwill, and particularly when NCI is at fair value. Conso profit combines the parent subsidiary's profit in total, then papamigay mo siya sa owners of the parent and the NCI, which is yun yung ginagawa natin. And then unrealized gains or losses from upstream sales are eliminated in full. Okay, so kita naman natin, i-eliminate natin si upstream and downstream. Okay, next. So we have the hybrid theory, traditional theory. This one is pinagsama. So una, the first one is 100%. So, of the subsidiaries net identifiable assets, yan yung paniniwala ni entity theory. The second one is also the same with the paniniwala ni entity theory. The third one is partial goodwill is used. Okay? The fourth one is Conso profit combines to the parents and subsidiaries profit. So, ginagawa sa entity theory. Profit attributable to the NCIs is deducted. Okay? From the combined profits but not reported as an expense. So, hindi siya kagaya ni entity theory. Kasi si NCI dito, dinideduct. Kaya entity theory, may share pa rin siya sa, may allocation pa rin. May share siya sa allocation. Unrealized gains and losses from upstream sales are eliminated in full. Okay? So, ma'am, ano yung ginagamit natin? Okay, sa PFRS, sa latest PFRS, we're using entity theory. Okay, so I have an assignment for you to discover what are the advantages and disadvantages of the entity theory in consolidation. Okay, gusto ko lang malaman ninyo what are the advantages and disadvantages of the entity theory. Bakit siya yung inadapt ng latest PFRS? Okay, why not? Kasi na-try na nila lahat yung proprietary theory, yung parent company theory, yung hybrid theory, pero talagang the entity theory ang mas deemed nilang applicable in accounting for consolidation. Okay? So, yun. Am I forgetting something? Parang may, yan. Ito pala yun. The special purpose entities. So, these are also called special purpose vehicles or the SPV. So, ano ba siya? These are legal entity, legal okay, created by a sponsor to accomplish a narrow and well-defined objective such as lease, research and development, and securitization of financial assets. Okay, for the sponsor. So, this is done. Bakit nag-create ng SPV or special purpose entity? Okay, kasi they want to reduce risk. Okay, because they're not transacting sa kanila. Kunwari ako yung group, I have created an SPV, okay? Sa kanila ko tinatapon lahat ng risk. Okay, hindi naman talaga. Ang sumasalo ng risk is yung SPE or SPV. Okay, not the group. Okay? Sometimes, this is used to hide liabilities. May narinig ba kayong balita regarding this? Okay, meron. Na, yung SPE, yung SPV, is, ang dami niyang liabilities, naka-negative na siya, pero hindi siya nagde-declare ng bankruptcy. Kasi, yung pala, nung binuklat nila, SPE siya. Okay? Then, it's also a cookie jar reserves. Okay? Cookie jar, lalagyan ng assets. Obscure relationship between related entities and avoid tax. So, baka nakakuha ng tax exemption itong si SPE, SPV, na not applicable kay group, pero siya meron. Okay? So, siya na lang yung ipapatransact natin sa mga transaction that needs, ano ba ito? That will face greater risk kaysa doon sa group. Okay? Ang gagawin na lang natin, okay, kunwari tayong sponsor, ang gagawin na lang natin is we're going to dump or we're going to transfer assets kay SPE, SPV, pero siya yung magtra-transact. So, if lugi, edi siya yung lugi, hindi yung group, maganda pa rin yung performance ng group. Yung SPE, hindi maganda ang kanyang performance, pero yung stock value natin, hindi bumababa. Okay? So, the sponsor will transfer assets to the SPE, obtains rights to the use of assets held by SPE or perform services for the SPE. So, siya parang alter ego. Parang siya yung gumagawa ng lahat for the sponsor. Okay, although yung sponsor, daily transactions pa rin o daily operations is continuous, si SPE, they often transact for the sponsors such as financing a large project, siya yung nakaaro, enter into derivative transactions, o siya yung bibili. Okay, if tawag din if involve a foreign counterpart or any foreign entities subject to foreign currency, so may risk. Okay, you've entered into derivative contracts for that. Okay, so siya yung sasalo if good or bad. Okay, the sponsor shall use PFRS 10 in assessing the existence of control and performing consolidation procedures. Okay, so maraming SPE. Okay, if you're very intelligent, okay, and as a very well versed in this type of entities, okay, or alam mong merong pwede kang magbumuo ng special purpose entity, you can actually recommend this sa iyong company if you're the accountant, the management accountant, or the accountant assigned into studying a venture. Okay, so pwede yan. So yun lang. So this is for part 3. Okay, I'll be uploading the exercises, by sample exercises, and then with answers, and then for you to study. Okay, kasi I don't know if I can still do the guided exercises, but I know that I can do the PDF file with sample problems that you can study, that you can print and study. And okay, so see you when I see you guys. Last topic is part 4 before the semifinals. Part 4, medyo madami siya pero madali lang siya.